All right, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles at Great Millstone who ruled well. And I also want to say peace and blessings, salutations to the elect. I'm Zahab of spiritwindjudah, the GMS Mississippi camp. And today I want to go into the art of suffering. All right. So I'm going to start with 2 Timothy 2 and 3. Thou, therefore, endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. All right. I'm going to read that again. Thou, therefore, endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. And I'm going to go into certain aspects of suffering and the importance thereof. All right. This is from the article. Basically, it's under the site Return of Kings. Okay. And it goes into the lack of suffering. All right. And this man that wrote this article, which, let me see if his name comes up. His art of manliness is poisoning the concept of masculinity with Disney lifestyle advice, which basically art of manliness is a website for young men that basically sharpens them and gives them little advice in certain aspects of life on how to be a man. But this particular article from Return of Kings is criticizing that man because he says the article lacks the element of suffering, and suffering is important to manhood. So I'm just going to skip to the point where he criticizes them for not mentioning suffering as an aspect of manhood. It says, and Lord will I get to the name at the end. All right, it says, lack of suffering. Another irritating thing about this site, which is talking about the art of manliness, is this rated G, safe, feel-good tone. There's no angst here. There's no bitterness here. There's no suffering, no anguish, no pain, no conflict, no controversy. We men need these things. We crave them. We need struggle, combat, stress, anxiety, bitterness, and anguish. These things define us. They create us. They make us who we are. All right? And I'm going to skip to this point. I need my angst, which angst is where you get the word anger from and bitterness. And I actually looked up that word. It says angst, specialized in psychology, neurotic fear, anxiety, guilt, remorse. All right. It goes back to anger, hostile attitude, ill will, surliness, distress, suffering, anguish, agony. What does Paul say about distress? He says we're going to suffer distresses. All right. It says, I need my angst and my bitterness. What makes us so much greater than you and more profound than you is that we recognize this. We don't try to cover up the pain that is out there like you do. We don't offer nice blandishments or opiates to our readers like you do. When you read Return of Kings, you are confronted with raw, bracing, bitch-slapping experience. It is an emotion experience bristling. It is an experience bristling with emotion, sexual energy, anxiety, angst, suffering, and mania. And it is well should that it should be so. For this is the raw energy of masculine masses bubbling forth in all its uncontrolled intensity. Now let me see if I can get his name down here, you know. I don't see his name. I probably keep strolling down. Like I said, the spirit leads me, I get his name, but basically the site is Return of Kings, and it basically gives men, you know, advice on how to be a man in modern day America. But one of the elements he criticizes another site is lack of suffering. Okay. And this is from a philosopher by the name of David Delder. He has a book, which I think is a pretty good book, you know, once you extrapolate. But there's a book called The Way of the Superior Man. I listened to the audio, and he basically goes into the masculine core of men and how men reach their masculine side. All right, and one of the things he mentioned is suffering and challenges. But today I'm going to get into the suffering aspect and how it is conducive to manhood. This is goodreads.com, and it's a quote from David Delder. Okay, it's a quote from David Delder, which that's him in the little corner. All right, it says, austerity means to eliminate the comforts and cushions in your life that you have learned to snuggle into and lose wakefulness. Take away anything that dulls your edge. No newspapers or magazines, no TV, no candy, cookies or sweets, no sex, no cuddling, no reading of anything at all while you eat or sit on the toilet. Reduce working time to a necessary minimum. No movies, no conversation that isn't about truth, love, or the divine. If you take on these disciplines for a few weeks, as well as many other disciplines that may particularly cut through your unique habits of dullness, then your life will be stripped of routine distraction. All that will be left is the edge you have been avoiding by means of your daily routine. You will have to face the basic discomfort and dissatisfaction that is the hidden texture of your life. You will be alive with the challenge of living your truth rather than hiding from it. Unadored suffering is the bad mate of masculine growth. I'm gonna read that again. Unadored suffering is the bad mate of masculine growth. So the way you reach your core of manhood, brothers, is through suffering, man. Call halal la Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh for putting us through these circumstances. That's basically a form of suffering that basically is less us step into our manhood, because we live in a society where there's nothing but Roman excess. There's nothing but sensuality and everything that caters to our flesh, which weakens our masculine core. Excess pleasures weakens your masculine core. One people who come into mind as I read this is the Spartans. They have something called a Spartan lifestyle or a stoic lifestyle. That's people who basically live utilitarian, man. Okay? Unadored suffering is the bad mate of masculine growth. Only by staying intimate with your personal suffering can you feel through it to its source. All right? And it says a lot, but I'm just going to read a little bit. By putting all your attention into work, TV, sex, and reading, your suffering remains unpenetrated and the source remains hidden. Your life becomes structured entirely by your favorite means of sidestepping the suffering and rarely allow yourself to feel. Brothers, when you catching hell and you feel that bitterness and that anguish, that anxiety, that stress, distress, hell, even hunger, or that feeling of being broke, that's you stepping into your masculine, man. That's what gives you your edge. That's what makes you go hard on Sundays, man, or Saturdays when you teach, man. That's what makes you bold. You see? That's what makes you assertive. That's what makes you fearless, man. All right? It takes that weakness out of you, man. What do they say in the gym? Pain is weakness leaving the body. Well, if that's true, suffering is weakness leaving your fucking soul, man. Okay? And it doesn't feel good. But guess what? Working out doesn't feel good, but you look like a man physically. So suffering doesn't feel good, but you become a man spiritually, man. Your life becomes structured entirely by your favorite means of sidestepping the suffering and rarely allow yourself to feel. And when you do touch the surface of your suffering, perhaps in the form of boredom, you quickly pick up a magazine or the remote control. Instead, feel your suffering, rest with it, embrace it, make love with it. That's right, brothers. Embrace your suffering through the spirit of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh. Feel your suffering so deeply and thoroughly that you penetrate it and realize its fearful foundation. As you can see, this man is very poetic when he speaks about suffering, okay? Almost everything you do it because you are afraid to die. And yet dying is exactly what you are doing from the moment you are born. I'm just going to skip to, some basic highlights. By eliminating the safety net of comforts in your life, you have the opportunity to free fall into this moment between birth and death, right through the whole of your fear into the unthreatenable openness which is the source of your gifts. This superior man lives as the spontaneous sacrifice of love. All right, and I'm going to get one last extract from an article. It's called "The Power of Solitude" under the website SpartanOwnership.com. by Aldous Huxley. All right, it says the power of solitude, and I'm just going to get to some main points. There is a certain power in solitude. Solitude is useful for a variety of reasons. In this case, the reason for solitude I want to elaborate on is the power of solitude to reboot your mind, embrace your edge, and center yourself in your purpose. What's our purpose? To teach the gospel and get into the kingdom. Wake up the elect, man. I've said it before and I'll say it again. In today's society, we live in an age of infobesity. We're constantly being bombarded with information. This information is rarely useful or empowering. 99% of most information is useful for one thing: distraction. And distraction is a part of the matrix. As you can see, this is what Esau has done to keep us distracted from the truth, man. Seeing what's going on Reality Housewives or whatever you want to call it. Further, your brain is plastic. Whether you like it or not, your brain absorbs information every day, which piles up in your brain and starts to rewire, condition you into all types of unwanted behaviors, mindsets. Some of these mindsets and behaviors include instant gratification, hypersexualization, victim mentality, feminism, weak mentalities, mediocrity, negativity, etc. This is where the power of solitude comes in. Solitude is powerful in many ways. It serves as a reboot for your consciousness. Solitude makes you face your edge, and solitude provides a way to reground yourself and your purpose with more intensity and depth. Step away from society, brothers. Not as like a so-called occult, okay? But give your time to unplug from the matrix, man, to reboot your system. And one way you do that is through fasting. Once you turn off the TV and any forms of entertainment for a particular time, and you also keep food from being into your system, that allows your spirit and your mind to reboot itself, man. And you're going to feel yourself being refreshed, man, because your spirit is like a computer. Sometimes you got to clean that computer, so to speak, man. Do a system reboot, like the Apostle Tahar said. All right. The way solitude reboots your consciousness is because it stops the flow of information into your mind. When you watch television, all right, or any form of media, that's information going into your mind, and your mind is processing that all throughout the day. So even when you step away from the TV, your mind is still processing what you've watched, okay? Now that's why you have songs stuck in your head. That's like your mind is processing those songs. Now that the inflow of information has stopped, your brain will stop being absorbed in useless data. You will start to become more present to the moment. You will also have more focus available. Next, solitude will make you face your edge. Why? Distractions are no longer there to numb you from yourself. Issues buried deep in your subconscious will start to become more apparent as your awareness shifts from being focused on the Kardashians to being focused on you alone with no stimulation. You will feel tension, and you will want to comfort and you will want comfort to distract you again. This tension is what I often refer to as your edge. So when you step away and you, for a particular period of time, you detach yourself from comforts, all right, in forms of entertainment and pleasures, you are going to desire pleasures to comfort you from that discomfort. But that moment when you desire pleasures and you keep yourself from getting those pleasures, you are reaching into your edge or your masculine core. Finally, solitude will reground you into your purpose. Once the inflow of information has stopped and you are in touch with the feeling of your discomfort, your edge, you can start to deepen your connection with your purpose. At this point, it would be wise to start asking yourself questions. Why do I feel uncomfortable? Why am I bored? Where am I going with all this? What am I doing with my life? And if I can keep doing that, where will it take me? How do I feel about my life in general? All right. Notably, solitude can take on many forms. If you are extremely busy, solitude might simply be 30 minutes to 1 hour of meditation or a long time every day with no stimulation. All right, I'm just going to stop it there, all right, because it's basically going into how to stay in solitude. But the basic point is suffering and solitude basically puts man into his masculine. If you go to work, you're going to notice that a lot of women are Gregorian. When the line stops, so you on break, a lot of women, they grew up together because that's the spirit of women that need to be together. But a man is usually alone in solitude, man. That's that man's man. That's the alpha male. I think gorillas are like that, okay? The spirit of a man is solitude outside the brotherhood, okay? Because we the soldiers amongst ourselves, okay? So, and with that, I'm gonna, close it out with 2 Timothy 2 and 3 again, so you could better understand that word hardness. All right, this 2 Timothy 2 and 3. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, which soldier goes back to solitude. So you got two words there that make up who we are: hardness and soldier, or hardness and solitude. And those are two elements that just so happens to bring us into our core. So with that, I hope you brothers are edified, and pray to Yahweh Shah that we embrace our sufferings and not try to escape from our sufferings. But with that, to the next lesson, Shalom.